Hello, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project, and I am going to be interviewed by the Inner Beauty Initiative. I'm just looking at the handle that I've got underneath, which is run by Natalie, Carley. Natalie, do you want to give the audience a wave?
Hi.
And Emma Rose Collingridge. Emma, would you like to give everyone a wave?
Hello.
Thank you. You actually gave people a wave. Natalie didn't give people a wave. Even she's obviously nervous. She's not following instructions.
Oh, you couldn't see my hand.
Oh, okay. Now they're going to be interviewing me, which I've had a few people say, "Oh, that's so exciting," which I appreciate. They're apparently a little bit nervous, which I find hilarious because normally it's a person getting interviewed who's supposed to be nervous. I'm very chill at the moment. They wanted me to begin the broadcast. So if you have any messages of support, not for myself, but for them, put them in the comments. And if you have any questions that you'd like them to pass on to me, Emma asked, is there anything that I'm afraid to talk about? And the answer is no. I think some of you may have...
Apart from the spider in the cup.
Oh, I'm happy to talk about the spider and the cup as long as it doesn't happen again. And I have 2 cups in front of me. But I don't know if any of you guys saw, but I did publish a book back in 2017 about mental health, and in the introduction I outlined that my struggles with mental health, including being suicidal twice. So I think if you can talk about that, you can probably talk about anything. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, put them in the questions. Otherwise, I'm going to relax for once and trust that Natalie and Emma can make me sound interesting, because that's normally my job as the interviewer, is to make my interviewees sound interesting. And normally they are. Not all the time. Emma was very interesting. She's probably going, oh my God, was I interesting? Emma was very interesting. Over to you guys.
She's the best. I mean, that's a good thing or bad thing. Is it like, interesting? Or, yeah, she's interesting. You know, side-eye interesting. Your first on-the-spot question.
Well, if you're asking me, no, not the, that was interesting, as in, when, no, genuinely interesting. Everyone has a slight different flavor with their interview. Some people won't shut up, some people won't talk, and then there's everyone in between. And then some people you talk about really fun surface things, and some people you talk about deep things. Obviously, with Emma's interview, she had been through some issues as well, and I always think that hardship builds character. So when someone is very deep, particularly at Emma's age, is extremely young to be that deep, and she mentioned that she was sort of old, not old before her time, but very mature. And that only happens when you've been through hardship. And certainly that's a comment that I was given back when I was in kindergarten, was, if you can imagine, back in kindergarten, my teacher told my parents that my peers respected me. I mean, in kindergarten, for me to even know what peers and respect was, I mean, that's something. But to be told that you have kindergartners' respect was something else. So I've been this old since I was born. I don't age, but I just stay this age.
Do you feel like you peaked at that point?
That was a highlight of my career, and it's been downhill since then, Natalie. I can tell you that much.
I mean, so we don't need to give you a little bit of background on the project, because if people want to know the background, they can head to our Facebook page.
I think you probably should, though. I think you should.
But you think we should tell you about it?
We should tell the audience watching in case they don't know.
Okay, sure. So Emma and I co-founded the project back in 2015, and our goal was to help build self-esteem and confidence in young people. And we started by taking the project around to schools, and we ran confidence workshops for kind of 12 to 15-year-olds. And we found that it was extremely fulfilling, but we had a really limited reach. And there was just 2 of us. And, we had a couple of other people kind of getting involved and helping us with workshops and stuff. But we were limited by the reach that we could get. And so we've been brainstorming. How can we revamp the project? How can we ensure that our message reaches more people? And so we decided that we were going to start the Soulfire sessions, the inspirational interviews that we're doing, like with yourself right now, where we interview people who have overcome something in their life, regardless of what it is, to find confidence and success and kind of explore the relationship between those two things. And so we revamped and relaunched, and here we are.
And it's good for us now to be able to share those stories as kinds of inspiration and motivation for the people that are watching, that are struggling with their confidence, that are really struggling with learn to love who they are as a person. And hopefully the interviews and the work that we're going to be doing in the upcoming few months in particular, like our interviews with you, are going to really help people kind of on their journey to finding their own kind of self-confidence and self-love.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
We are excited. We're very excited.
We've got lots of really exciting plans in the works, and we can't wait to just share them with everyone.
Get them all out there.
Reveal everything. Yeah.
Now, I told the girls that they have to keep an eye on the Facebook comments, so I'll let you guys do that. There's a couple of comments there, but over to you. I have to. It's very difficult for me to not run the interview, so that's why I have 2 mugs of tea, so that whilst I'm drinking, I can't say anything.
That's fair enough. So our first question to you is, can you tell us about your journey to self-confidence?
Well, gee, that's an interesting question. That's assuming that I think I am self-confident, which I am in certain arenas. I don't know if anyone is ever super confident in every area of life. I mean, for example, I'm obviously super, I don't know if I call it confident, but obviously super comfortable doing an interview, because I've done hundreds of interviews, but also hundreds, if not thousands of hours either doing them or editing them. So in this arena, I'm super confident, I guess you could say. But if you took me, I don't know, to an R&B club, I would be the definition of the opposite. I'd be very much white man dancing or Chinese man dancing, and it wouldn't be a good sight. So I think confidence sometimes, for a lot of people, it comes down to ability as well. So when you're good at something, it's very easy to be confident. When you're horrible at something, it's very difficult to be confident. So I've always been in the areas that I'm confident, which obviously is interviewing and a couple of other areas. It wasn't so much with a lot of hard work, if I give you the simple answer, a lot of work, whether it's going into interviews, whether it's doing a live stuff with the technology, or with tennis, for example. I taught myself how to play tennis. And I have confidence in those areas just because I put so much work into it. And I think Michael Jordan, the basketballer, people asked him, was he ever nervous taking, the final shot to win the game? And he said no, because he knew he'd done all the preparation he humanly could before he took that shot. And if it didn't go the way he wanted it to go, it wasn't because of anything he'd done, it just wasn't meant to be. So in the areas where I feel confident, Natalie, it's simply because I've done so much work that no one could have asked more of me. So it's really that simple, but it's a lot of hard work that's gone into it to give you an idea. Like, I can just tell you that, and it sounds simple, but I'm not a huge believer in you can fake it until you make it. I do think obviously going in and, trying to make yourself feel good, not going in going, oh my God, I'm useless. But I don't believe in the whole fake it till you make it. I think there's an element of truth to it. But I think a lot of people don't want to hear the truth, which is a lot of things. You see someone who's successful at anything, whether it's what you guys are doing, whether it's what I'm doing, or anyone that you aspire to, it's a lot of hard work. So I'm sorry that's not a particularly exciting answer, but that's the answer that I would give you.
Right. No, it's honest. And I think that's what people need to hear, is often people feel like it's luck. I know that Emma specifically has been told a lot that she's very lucky. And this was conversations that we had really early on when we very first met, when Emma was, I think you were about 16 or 17, weren't you? And she said that the thing that came up in conversation a lot was people say, oh, aren't you so lucky? And she said to me something that was really profound for me to hear from someone so young, is that the harder I work, the luckier I get. And so I think you saying kind of preparation and perseverance and putting in the hard work, that's honest. And I think more people need to hear that.
Can I just say, it really annoys me when people tell me I'm lucky. Like, I super get it, and I super hate it as well. I'm extraordinarily lucky, for example, that I live in Australia. Like, I don't have Donald Trump as my president, for one, and there's no war, there's no famine, all that stuff, right? I completely agree with that. But people used to tell me, oh, you're so skinny, you're lucky. And yes, I was born skinny, but I was going to the gym at 5 in the morning, like every day, or going for a run. It's like, it wasn't luck. And when people say, oh, you're so lucky, you get to interview pageant competitors, I'm like, have you seen the amount of hard work that's gone into it? Have you seen all the things that I've tried and haven't worked out? So it's like what I said before. People see anyone who's successful in any area, and they want to say it's luck, and it's because then it gives them an excuse not to try. Like, if I told Emma, oh, you're so lucky, you're modeling, you're...
Someone write that down. Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, if I go to Emma, if I'm a young girl, and say, oh my God, you're so lucky, you're a model, I could never do that. It's like, well, of course, there's an element of, you're in the right place at the right time. But it's a way of getting out of it yourself, saying, oh, I couldn't do, she got lucky. It wasn't the hard work, it was luck. Because if I say it's hard work, then that means I could do it if I was willing to put in the hard work. So I really hate it when people say that you're lucky, because I think it's very dismissive.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I think a question as well that a lot of people want to know, particularly from the UK as well, is how did you get into pageantry? What made you create the Pageant Project?
Okay, well, let me see if I can give you the abridged version. So I was tennis coaching, and I ended up coaching at an all-girls school here in Sydney. That's where I was introduced to the problems that young women in particular have. Not to say young men don't have issues, but young women have their particular type of issues. And I was always someone who was quite empathic and someone who wanted to help. So that piqued my interest. I was also very fascinated by psychology, still am. So I was thinking, okay, how can I help these young women? So I always love talking to people, like in interviews. So I started interviewing women, but it wasn't pageant competitors. It was just any woman who I found inspiring. So I've interviewed musicians over in New York. I've interviewed personal trainers here. I've interviewed people from all over the place, from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, life coaches, you name it. I probably interviewed them. I then happened to interview one girl over here. She's very famous in the pageant scene, Tasha Ross. And it was just accident. I saw her in an activewear magazine, and I thought, oh, that girl looks pretty. She looks like someone who's driven. I'll send her a message and see if she wants to interview. I didn't think she would. She did. She said yes. I was like, oh, okay, God, I better get ready for this. And then I found out about pageants. And then I went to a fundraiser of hers, met other pageant girls, told them what I did in terms of interviewing. And when you first go into the pageant world, you very quickly network if you're willing to. And you meet one, you meet another. Yes. One introduces you to two becomes four. So then I interviewed another one. In fact, I think my third interview was with Alicia van Schoonhoven, who Emma obviously knows. This was way back when. Both Alicia and I were very different people. If you watch Alicia's interview, she'd probably cringe a little bit about it. She was super awkward. I was very awkward. We were both going through stuff. We didn't know it at the time. And it just got to the point where I was interviewing so many pageant competitors. I didn't want people to think that what I was doing was just interviewing pageant people. So I thought, okay, I'd better start up a separate branch. So I started the Pageant Project last year. But mind you, this is already after doing over 100 interviews and publishing a book. But I started the Pageant Project. And then, as fate would have it, the Pageant Project took off, and I dedicated my time to that area rather than dedicating it to what I was doing before. And that's how it started. And the rest of it, as I said before, it's just a lot of hard work.
Would you say that the interviews that you've done have impacted or shaped aspects of your life in any way, hearing the stories and the struggles that other people have gone through and how they've learned to deal with that? Has that helped you in any aspect of your life?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I always tell people one of the big gifts I've been given is perspective. So if you're ever around me, I defy you to ever find me complaining about anything for more than probably a minute, because I hate complaining. And when I find myself complaining, I notice it very, very quickly. And that's purely because when you've spoken to as many people as I have, whether it's someone, for example, I've spoken to you, Emma, obviously, about what you've been through, And then when I was interviewing people for my book, hearing about women who had escaped domestically violent situations. For example, one of them had to jump off a balcony. I think it was a 3rd-story balcony or 2nd-story balcony. And she jumped off and she shattered her wrist. She'd been beaten to a pulp previous to that, so she was bleeding everywhere and knocked unconscious. She knew she had to get out. She jumped off to escape and she shattered her wrist. She was trying to pick up a handbag. She couldn't work out why it wasn't working. It was because she'd shattered her wrist. And the only reason she escaped was because her partner at the time jumped off after her and broke his leg. So she ran away. He's broken his leg, screaming at her. And then she found a taxi. She had no purse, obviously. She needed to get away. The taxi drove off without her, took one look at the blood streaming down her face and just drove off. Another woman who I interviewed, she was in South Africa at the time. Her partner pulled a gun at her head and fired, just happened to miss. But she says that she felt the bullet go right past her ear, and in bed in the wall behind her, she says at that moment she thought she had died. So you got to realize when you are interviewing someone like that and you're someone who wants to complain, not that I ever was, but if you're hearing stories like that and then you think you have any right to complain, you really need to wake up.
Yeah.
So has it changed me? Definitely. I would say the main thing is perspective. I've always loved talking to people and I've been very good at getting their stories out. For one reason or another, people trust me, so they open up. But in terms of how has it changed me, definitely the perspective. I don't think I have any right to complain. And I would think 99% of people in the Western world anyway, and probably 99% of the people who ever watch this interview would have no right to complain. Bad stuff happens, I get it, but we move on.
So how did you come to write a book about those experiences, and especially with the subject matter of it is something that is particularly close to my heart, on the kind of the subject of the Inner Beauty Initiative partners with a project of mine as well called Q4, and it has been set up specifically to support women who have fled violent situations and have entered refuges and safe houses. So it's really interesting to me to hear how you came to be kind of on that path.
If you picture someone who really wants to help, because that's me, I always root for the underdog. If someone's in pain, I know Emma said she can't deal with people being in pain. I think she meant physical pain. I'm the same with emotional pain. And I'm very intuitive, so I can go into a crowded room and I can pick the person who's going through something. Not broken their arm. I'm not talking about physical pain, but I can tell when someone is going through something. I'm very good at it. Other people go, how did you know? It's just, I know. So after interviewing, again, so many people, if you imagine, it's kind of like I've lived their lives vicariously. So it's not just I'm living my life, I've also lived their life and her life and her life. And you don't have to interview many people before you realize how many people are dealing with mental health, particularly anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, whether there's an attempt or not. And if you just picture someone like me who loves creating content, loves talking to people, but also wants to help, it just made sense to do that book. That book is called, by the way, From Fear to Freedom. And that's what I used to be doing, was the Fear to Freedom Project. I may still bring it back, but it was just purely about mental health and the struggles that women had been through. And it came to me all ideas come to me when I'm in the shower or when I'm driving. Because those are the only two times when I don't have my social media. So all the good ideas come to me when I'm in the shower or when I'm driving. Both times where you can't write the ideas down, I will say. So it was
always the way.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to think I get lots of good ideas. Some of them work out, some of them don't. But that was just one idea that I went, you know what would be really good? I interview people. I'm going to interview 10 women who've all been through stuff. I'll interview them in a video. I'll turn the videos into little movies, which I did. And then I'll transcribe the videos into written format and I'll release a book. So I worked out how to publish a book and I did that. So
I think that's very similar to what we're trying to do with the project as well, is just to, through the interviews that we're doing, just make people aware that they're not alone with what they're feeling, that mental health, although it's not something that I feel people talk about enough, it is growing, particularly in the UK, into something that is more accepted as something that can be talked about. But I think particularly with what we're doing as well is just, it's always that the people are hurting that are the ones that kind of don't see, and that just they need to know that other people are feeling the same as them as well, and that they're not alone. And I think that that's so important with things like your interviews and your book, and hopefully what we're going to try and do with the project as well. Definitely.
It's super important to... Here's the thing, it's like with bullying. Obviously bullying is close to your heart, Emma. I was bullied a little bit in school, but I think everyone's bullied a little bit. There are two ways to tackle anything, and one is to have anti-bullying initiatives, which I absolutely think there has to be, because people shouldn't be bullying, but they do. The other side to me that I think is equally as important and sometimes is overlooked is facing the hard fact that you're probably going to be bullied at some stage. Or in mental health, you're probably going to feel depressed at some stage. It's super important to me that you know what to do when that happens. I think trying to live in a world or trying to create a world where no one's ever bullied and no one ever feels sad, unfortunately, that's just a fact of human existence. There are going to be people who want to push you down, and it's not because they're bad people either. It's just because they're probably going through something. But my point is that sometimes there are people who are never going to want to hear your story. They don't care, and it's nothing to do with you, it's to do with them. And unfortunately, sometimes that could be a parent, it could be a partner, and then you're in a really difficult situation. But I think it's super important that if you're going through something, that you are taking all the steps that you possibly can for your own recovery. It's a very dangerous place to, and I know it's very tempting because I've been suicidal twice, to feel sorry for yourself. But it won't change by you hoping that someone will, if you're very lucky, someone will listen to you. If you're very lucky. I know one or two people who I could turn to for that. Alicia is one. You're so lucky if you have one person in your life who will actually listen to you to make you feel understood and better, not to make it something about them. And if you don't have one of those people, it's super important that you have some steps to help yourself recover, because otherwise it's a story that ends very badly.
And what would your advice be from the point of view of taking steps when you're going through particular situations? Like, do you have any particular steps that you could recommend to people?
In the book, I outlined 4 steps, and if you read the book, like 80% of it is the interviews. And my steps in order to recover were super short, because I don't think it needs to be very complicated. I think you just need to do it. So I outlined 4 steps, and it was ADSL, because ADSL internet was a thing. It's not really a thing anymore, but I wanted an acronym that people could remember. So it's ADSL. A was accept that there is a problem. D is decide you're going to do something about it, because a lot of people never decide they're going to get better. They just go, oh, I hope I get better. Well, that's different to saying, no, I'm going to get better no matter what it takes. S is to seek help. You should not be doing it alone. Here we have Lifeline. I know you guys have free crisis 24-hour support that you can phone if you were suicidal. I would assume America has it too. And so it's accept, decide, seek, and then L is love yourself, which for a lot of people, including myself, is probably the hardest step. But you have to learn to at the very least, give yourself some credit for what you've been through and what you've survived, frankly. A lot of us are extremely lucky, and we've been through a lot of stuff to even be here, existing on the planet. So ADSL, those were just the 4 steps I came up with. You could make it more complicated, but I like to keep things simple.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you.
It kind of echoes a little bit of what you were doing with your 7 Days of Self campaign with the self-love step, wasn't it? And kind of recognizing early on that when you're starting to feel overwhelmed or you're starting to feel like things are getting too much, just taking time for yourself in ways that make you feel good. And it's different for everybody, but do you think that kind of practicing self-care has been an element of that for you?
Absolutely, and it's been an element I've struggled with a lot, because my mind always goes to what can I do to be productive. So if you ask me what have I got to do right day, I can tell you self-care and having a spa or something would be last on my list. I have been sick the last 2 weeks, so I've been doing a lot of sleeping, and it's bored me out of my brain. I have 2 interviews to edit. I have some other interviews to organize. I have a business that I want to do some work on and write some proposals. So to be honest, a lot of my friends have said, oh, you need to take care of yourself. And I kind of brush it off because I don't actually know what I would do for self-care, because I'd probably think, I know it's not, but I probably think of it as a waste of time. So I'm not dismissing it. I'm telling you, I'm very bad at it.
Yeah, you're probably definitely not alone in that thought. I think a lot of people, it's hard to find time to take care of yourself, even if it's just like a 10-minute, I don't know, like a walk in the park or something. Everyone's way of just taking some time for themselves is so different and unique to them. And it takes time to find what that is, as well as then take time to do it. But it is something that is so important.
What's your go-to?
Oh, probably listening to music or taking a nap. Or going for a walk, actually. I find fresh air and just being immersed in nature. I'm very lucky in that where we live, we're completely in the countryside, so that everywhere I go, I can just be completely in tune with nature. And I find that really helpful. What about you?
I think my go-to is like a guided meditation. So I literally just go onto YouTube, because we are the YouTube generation, and find a guided meditation that's maybe 5 or 10 minutes long, and I try to do that every morning, and I find that it really sets me up for my day. So if you try one of those,
I was going to say, I wish I could meditate. I love yoga, and I was trying to get into meditation, and people would say these things like after meditation, oh, I experienced my childbirth, oh, I experienced my previous life, and I'm like, I was kind of jealous of them.
I just want to experience that again.
It's like, oh, I remember what it was like to be in the womb, and I'm looking at them half disbelief, like, you what? Like, I just was trying to focus on my breathing, and you experienced this whole existential crisis. So the problem with some personality types, and I've coached people, like life coaching wise, some people, I don't know what you call it, but they just can't sit still. And I'm one of those people. If you get me to say, just sit down and chill out, I cannot do it. So meditating to me is very difficult to do. I do like going out and being active, because that for me is a form of meditation. So for example, as bizarre as it might sound, I love playing tennis. Like I played with my friend the other day, and I've been sick for 2 weeks, so I probably shouldn't have been. But I love the thrill of just chasing after a ball and hitting it back, because life becomes so super simple. I don't have to think about anything else. For me, that's my meditation. It's just something that takes my mind off everything else, and all I can do is focus on the one thing that I have to do. It's actually the same with me when I do weightlifting, like intense weightlifting. I mean, Emma, your partner would know. You really need to concentrate. If you are lifting something that is your body weight and you don't concentrate, it's going to end badly. So I found actually weightlifting out of everything was also a meditation for me as well. But sitting down, as much as I love yoga, sitting down in lotus position, I couldn't do it. Like I'd love to think one day maybe I could, but it's just, I get angry because I'm not blissing out. I get angry at myself. So you don't want to meditate near me, because you'll probably hear me cursing or fidgeting or something like that.
Rage coming off you, like bad energy.
Exactly.
I think that is your form of self-care, though. Just doing an activity that takes your mind off everything else. And like Jessica Barkley said, that just working on things you love are a form of self-care as well. So if anyone else has any tips on what they do for self-care that could potentially help all three of us, please write them in the comments, and we will definitely bring them out.
The problem with Jessica Barkley is that she's got the same issue as me. She can never stop. So we work ourselves to the bone, because we always do put ourselves last. So you can argue that, doing something you love is self-care, but I love my work. So I end up working myself to death. I was here last night until 11:30 p.m. and I hadn't had dinner. Then I had to go home, cook dinner, have dinner, and then I had to wake up at 5 a.m. today to interview with you guys. So, yes, do I love what I do? No, like, I love what I do, yes, but sometimes you do need to make sure that you are doing something that recharges you emotionally, physically, spiritually, if you believe in that. Not just work. I love it, because then you work yourself to the bone and you end up sick, which is where I am at the moment.
So now it's time to start doing guided meditations.
Even thinking of that makes me cross.
Before you fall asleep, have you tried doing like a?
I'd rather just fall asleep. I'm an insomniac. I don't get enough sleep. So I guarantee you, if I was about to fall asleep and you go, oh, you wake me up, go, Adrian, now's the right time to meditate, I'd probably punch you in the face. It just, I have been going to sleep with this like called brain waves. So it's on YouTube. You can get like these 8-hour sleep tracks, and they're supposed to put you to sleep. I just think they're so boring. I'm being put to sleep. I don't have any weird dreams or anything. I mean, I have weird dreams anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I suck at meditation. I'm just putting it out there.
I think it's just something that you practice. But I mean, if it's not for you, that's okay. We'll forgive you. Emma might anyway.
I've tried. It's not like I haven't tried. I can't tell you that it works for me. And as I said, I
just researching and trying to find
what works for you. Yeah,
exactly.
So another question that we have, and it's something that we touched on a little bit earlier on, is what is the most important lesson that you've learned about the relationship between confidence and success? And not necessarily outward confidence, but just confidence in who you are, which I think is something. Yeah.
Well, I think isn't it everything? I mean, I kind of like, especially if you're not talking about the outwards bravado, which is very often a facade because you have no confidence. If you are inwardly confident and you know that, especially about yourself, you know you're going to do whatever it takes, and you know that no matter what problem comes up, you'll be able to handle it. If you have that inner confidence and you combine it with some level of patience, because you can't achieve everything at the same time. You can achieve everything eventually, but a lot of sort of A-type achievers, they want everything and they want everything right now. But if you have that unshakable confidence, I mean, you're unstoppable. So as I alluded to before, it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of patience, and it is a long-term game. But if you don't have that confidence, and even worse, I think if you're putting on the outwards appearance of being confident, like, you know, you're dressing the right way, you're putting on this huge smile and you're shaking someone's hand, and inside you're going, I'm full of crap, I'm full of crap, I'm full of crap. That's a really bad place to be. I'm very much focused on the inner world. I believe if you get your inner world right, you get inside here and you get the heart right, then you'll be right. The outwards is just a follow on from that. So I would almost say confidence is success if you combine it with patience.
That's a really good answer, actually. Yeah. You passed.
Thank you. Hooray.
Do you have any specific advice or things that you've done in the past that have helped build your confidence?
Apart from, obviously, the hard work.
Apart from the interviews and
the hard work, the book, the effort, just summarising it for achievable, small bite-sized goals.
In everyday life.
But it really is that. I mean, self-awareness is a big thing as well. I think God puts us, whoever you believe, the universe puts us on this world with a certain set of talents. So there are going to be certain things that you're probably better at for some weird reason. I think everyone has a talent. I think if you're going, I got no talent, well, you have a talent for obviously having no confidence. But I mean, I'm joking, but everyone has a talent if they look hard enough. Unfortunately, not every talent is maybe monetizable. Like if you're fantastic at, I don't know, juggling, maybe you can't turn that into $1 million business, or maybe you could. But if you combine that self-awareness of what am I naturally good at, and then I know as unsexy as it sounds, hard work, but if you put in that graft and you do all the hard work, you do all the study, and you look at the best people in the world at what they do, and you model what they do, that builds real confidence. Not, as I said, I have no interest in the phony, like they talk about the alpha male and walking into a room full with a smile and everyone will love you. I look at someone who smiles like that and go, what's wrong with you? Like, what are you hiding? And unless it's genuine, because for some people it is genuine. But there are these like confidence coaches and they tell you, put on a smile and everyone will love you. And I'm looking at these people going, oh my God, you need to see a dentist. So I think the hard work really does build your confidence. You mentioned step by step. I do think it does come step by step. There are certain things you can do if you're feeling, let's say, before you go on a catwalk or before you do the pageant stuff. Obviously, there's certain things you can do physically to help get you confident. And if you watch professional athletes, a lot of their warm-up is to build that confidence. But outside of that, sort of hyping yourself up for one big event, I think little by little, day by day, you need to build it up. And you probably will be bad at it at first, and then you just build it up over time.
I think that's absolutely solid advice, really. And I think that's the kind of advice that I wish I'd had like 10 years ago, to be honest. I know that obviously saying like those people who want to do everything now and have no chill, I am that person.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of what we're taught as a generation, isn't it? That step by step isn't a thing anymore, and that you have to achieve everything now. And there's all this pressure to keep up with timelines and like keeping up with people. And I just feel like the pressure element of that means that people's confidence is broken down more instead of building it up. And it's kind of
so
doing
many social pressures now, aren't there?
A huge amount.
I'll give you one suggestion, because you mentioned social pressures, and social media is a huge part of that. If you are struggling with confidence, turn your damn phone off once a week for one day.
Amen. Yes.
And if you can't do that, you have a problem. It's called an addiction. I know that because I went on a social media cleanse earlier this year, and I gave all my passwords. People go, I'm going on a social media cleanse. And first off, you posted that on social media. So, okay, how are you having a cleanse? Secondly, you have your passwords. Like, I deleted my app. It's not difficult to reinstall my app. So I went, I'm going to do this properly. So I gave my friend all my passwords. I could not log back in. And I will tell you, for that 1 week or so, it was only going to be 1 day or 2 days. And then I liked it so much, I kept going to the point where she goes, do you ever want your passwords back? Like, I probably should. But I don't know many people who have found social media to help their confidence. I'm sure there are. It's fantastic at building networks. Obviously, for what I do and what you guys are doing, it's a necessity. But if something is damaging your confidence, turn it off. If someone is bringing down your confidence, cut them out from your life. And yes, I know it might be difficult. Do it anyway. If it's important to you, do it anyway. Like, find a way. But social media is just so damaging, because people have talked about, you shouldn't be comparing with yourself with people on social media. So you look at this really funny phenomenon, which is one person posts that, and then everyone else starts posting about it. And suddenly everyone's posting about not comparing themselves, and people are comparing themselves on their not comparing posts. They're going, oh, your post about not comparing was better than mine. I better do another one. I got more likes. I'm like, just turn the phone off. It'd be so much simpler. I guarantee you'll be so much happier, and you'll survive. You'll survive like we did before social media existed. So if social media is damaging your mental health, your happiness, just turn it off. Turn it off.
That's really nice. Yeah, absolutely. So another question relating to social media. How do you deal with online negativity?
Do you mean now, or do you mean how I used to? Do you want the journey, or
the journey? The comparison of the two, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, initially I sucked at it because I don't like being criticized. I mean, I am a perfectionist as much as I like to say I'm a recovering perfectionist. There's no such thing. I like to do everything to the best of my ability, with a subconscious belief that if I do everything to the best of my ability and it's perfect, everyone's going to love it. That's false. Doesn't matter what you do, someone is going to hate it, and they're probably the people who haven't even taken the time to look at what you do, and they start judging you already. That's fact of life, and it's just getting worse with social media today. So in terms of pageantry, I'll give you an example. There was a certain incident. It wasn't a scandal, but there was something here in Australia on the pageant scene that was quite divisive. And at that time, I didn't really know what I was going to use the Pageant Project for. And I was kind of thinking, well, if I don't know what to use it for, I shouldn't keep doing it. Then I realized, well, I'm one of the only people in the pageant world who has a neutral platform. I'm trusted by pretty much everyone who I talk to. I should use this platform to speak out about issues that people can't, or queens can't in particular, because if you are a pageant queen, and both of you would know this, there are certain things you can't say, especially on social media, because probably you shouldn't, but also it would, you know what I mean? Like, it would tarnish your reputation. So I went, okay, there are some things that need to be said over here. I'm going to say them. At that point, the floodgates opened. I got so many people messaging me in private, because I didn't want to do it in public, saying, thank you so much for doing this. I had one person who had been out of the pageant scene in Australia because she couldn't stand it anymore. She'd had such a bad time. And she said, thank you so much for doing that and for saying that. And on the other hand, I'd have people turning up on my social media pages saying, they say to be yourself, and then you be yourself, and they'll say, oh, this is disgraceful. I don't think I should be following you anymore. You have young people looking up to you, and you shouldn't be saying this stuff. And all I was doing was being my authentic self, saying, I don't think this is right, and I don't like the way certain people are acting. And I learned a lot from that, because that got me in a really bad way. I wasn't feeling good. I got pretty angry, and I learned a lot from that, and I moved on. And that was only probably a couple of months ago, before I started on my UK focus and the Galaxy focus. I was really searching for a purpose, and I found it when I interviewed Maria, and then here we are now. But now, if you put negativity on my social media, if it's valid, I'll look at it. Otherwise, I just turn it off. Like, if it's negative, pointlessly negative, I will delete it. There are now conversations. I used to, Messenger conversations or Instagram conversations, and it bings, and you have to look at it. Now I don't look at them sometimes. As silly as that sounds, if it's a conversation I have no interest in, I won't look at it. If it's a negative thing, I won't look at it. I don't have time for it anymore, because I've made myself so busy with the stuff that I love doing that the negativity, there's no point looking at it anymore. So I've developed a bit of a thicker skin for sure, but I'm just so busy with the stuff that I love doing that if you're going to be negative, it's just like, okay, if there's something wrong, fix it. If you can't fix it, accept it, and then move on. There are no alternatives. I don't care what you've been through. If you can do something about it, do it. Don't complain about it. Don't talk about it. Do it. And if you can't do something about it, then change your expectations. That's pretty blunt, but I've distilled sort of my thinking is, as I said, it doesn't have to be complicated. If you're not happy with your life, change it.
I think that is the thing with social media as well, as everyone tells you to be your authentic self, but then judges you and criticizes you for doing exactly
really
that.
Really annoys me.
And it's really hard.
It's yeah. And I was thinking the whole time through, it's like, I'm finding it hard. I can't imagine how a pageant queen would find it, because I don't, like, my image in terms of having to be perfect, I don't have to do that. I've never made that part of who I am. I've always built myself on being authentic and honest. So for me to have issues with it, I was really thinking, God, if I was a young girl having to deal with this, it'd be 10 times as hard. So, but as I said in my interview with Emma, I just don't understand people who take time out of their day to post something negative. I really do not. And if you're following someone and you don't like,
waste of energy.
why are you, like, people who follow someone and they disagree with them? It's such, like, why would you do that? Like, you know this person, what they post makes you angry. Why do you keep unfollow them? It's like, oh, they shouldn't be posting this. Okay, well, if you don't like it, unfollow. That's a pinned post at the top of the Pageant Project. It's a little rant I went on. This was back when I wasn't feeling so happy about the pageant scene. And it's like, feel free to unfollow if things get too real. I would happily, you unfollow me. I don't care. If you don't agree with what I say, you want to have a proper conversation or argument about it, I'm okay with that. But if you're just going to be negative, just go away. Just go away. I don't have time for it.
Absolutely. What would you say is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given in your life, or is there a particular motto that you live by?
I was thinking about this today because I thought you might ask me something similar to this. I think the most important thing in my life anyway has been I guess I'd call it a subconscious belief that if anyone can do it, if anyone else can do it, I can do it. And I'll give you an example of tennis. Like, I did not grow up playing tennis, and I wasn't talented at it at all. I remember the first time I took a tennis lesson, I was already an adult. They videoed the lesson. This was back long enough that they videoed it on tape. It wasn't on a mobile phone. And I remember getting the tape back, and I looked at it, and I told my friend this the other day. I said, I looked like a flea that had ADHD swatting a Tic Tac. It was horrific what I was looking at. I had the sleeveless shirt, 3/4 pants. I was like, oh my God, that's what I look like. So at that point I decided, you know what? I really love tennis. I want to get good at it. So again, this belief that if any one person can do it, I can do it. So what I did was look at the best players in the world. And I basically modeled my game after them. I got a video camera, which back in those days was a big expense, and some fancy software. And I looked at how world-class players did something, And then I just did what they did with this belief that if they get a certain result doing that, if I copy all their actions and do the same things they do, I will get very close to their result. I may not be as tall, short, as fit, but I'm going to model what they do with the belief that if I do what they do, I'll get the same result. And I mean, you guys talked about confidence before, asked me about confidence. I think that may also be a key to my confidence, is that I believe if anyone else can do it, that I can look at how they did it, I can figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, I can interview them to find out. And then I can copy the steps that they took and get the same results. So whenever anyone has a massive success, I don't get hugely blown away with it. I respect it deeply, don't get me wrong. But I believe that if I took the same steps that they took and put in the hard work that they did, I could get the same result. So that's been hugely important for me, because I've modeled my tennis on world-class players, but also even with interviewing. I have this person that I've gone to a lot of his seminars, and he did a lot of interviews, and I modeled my interviewing style off of his, and other people as well. So that's really been a huge part. So I guess if you want to bring it down to one thing, it'll be if anyone can do it, I can do it as well.
Absolutely. And with this age of social media, I think one of our kind of final questions for you would be, like, what qualities do you think make a great role model?
Specifically a modern day role model as well.
God. I think you need to lead with authenticity. That's a really big buzzword at the moment, that it almost loses all meaning. You have to be willing to show up and lead with your faults. Not just say, I am not perfect. Yeah, we get that. No one's perfect. But if you can specifically lead with things that you suck at, because everyone, I don't care how much we talk about authenticity and how much we use that hashtag on Instagram, whatever, everyone still wants to show, and I'll give you an example. Photos with no makeup, right? When you still look $1 million. I get it. It's well intended, but there are going to be women who look at it and go, well, you know, what is she talking about? She's still young. She's still beautiful. I interviewed Ashley Wilde, and she put up a photo with all the acne. Now that's what I'm talking about, right? I mean, you look at that photo and you just go, oh my God, like I cannot imagine the courage it took for someone like that to post that photo. And it worked because she got so many messages, I'm assuming mainly from women, just saying, thank you so much for posting that. So if there's one thing as a role model, I think, is you need to lead with true authenticity, which is the stuff that scares you to share, not the stuff that you're comfortable sharing about. I mean, eventually you become more comfortable sharing your story. So for example, I'm happy to say that I was not happy, but I'm okay to say that I was suicidal twice. I've had people say, oh my God, I had no idea. Like, how can you talk about it? It's like, well, I don't know. For me, it's never been something that I really wanted to hide. I had difficulty talking about it at the time, but now I'm not emotionally attached to it anymore. So I really think leading with the stuff that you suck at, that you really feel insecure at. And then there are so many other things, like taking the time out to have a real conversation with people. If you're talking about social media specifically, I look a lot at whether people reply on social media. There are a lot of people who, you look at their stuff, you love their stuff, and then you post a comment underneath and they never reply back. I've had people ask me for interviews, and then I respond back and they never respond back to me. So I think in essence, the big thing is to be authentic. I think self-awareness is a huge thing. Know who you are, and that's always developing. I get that. And then honestly, I think it's a lot of little habits, a lot of little things. It's not one giant thing. And I think this is a thing. People are looking for the one thing that if they did it, they're going to become a role model or an influencer or something like that. A true role model is not made up of one giant thing that happened overnight. It's step by step, day by day. I don't look at, as my mentor said, you don't look at what I don't look at what I say, look at where my feet have walked for the last year, my last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And I will say also, just to finish up, that influencers, like if you're going around trying to be an influencer or trying to be a role model, you're probably trying and thinking too hard. I think you just have to live it. I think there's a big difference between being an influencer and being a role model. Influencer is just someone who spruiks stuff all over the place. A genuine role model, I think, is someone, that's a big thing. If someone says you're a role model, that means for every probably aspect of their life, you have to take that job seriously and you have to be super authentic about it. I would not say, for example, that I think of myself as a role model. There are certain skill sets that I could teach people, sort of interviewing certainly is one of them, but I don't think I have my life together nearly enough to consider myself a role model. And I don't think I would ever say that. Every day I'm just trying to be better. Maybe that makes me a role model. I don't know.
I was about to say maybe that is what makes you a role model, because I think that everyone can strive to be a role model without necessarily striving to be perfect.
Exactly.
And it's like you say, you know, living authentically is obviously something that you're doing by saying that, you know, you don't feel like you've got everything together yet. And I actually think that it's those qualities that do make you a role model. Exactly that.
Absolutely. And your ability and your kind of neutralness, particularly with pageantry, and that you are able to talk about things and discuss things that people otherwise wouldn't be able to. And I definitely think that
especially subjects that people find really difficult to talk about, like suicide. And the fact of the matter is, I think everybody knows somebody or has directly been affected by suicide or you know, particularly bad spells of mental health. And you know, you being able to talk about that, it does make you a role model. So
absolutely,
it's time to own it.
Yes.
if you say so. I appreciate it. I will say, again, an area I'm not good at is taking compliments. I'm stunningly bad at it.
So am I.
We all are. Yeah.
I'm probably I'm also competitive. So it's I don't know. I often look at myself and just think I'm a mess. Like, I think a psychiatrist would have a field day with me. But you're dealt the hand you're dealt. You've made the decisions you've made. And every day is a new day. Like, if you had a great day yesterday, well, today's a new day. You got to, you know, back to the grindstone or back to self-care, whatever it is. And if you had a horrible day yesterday, good news, today is a new day. You can make a completely different decision and start something amazing today. On the other hand, if you've had a great day yesterday and you start to slack off today and start not doing the things that made you a success to begin with, and we've seen this in a lot of areas, people who were successful and then they just eventually, you know, whatever happens, they just fall to pieces. Whether it's a massive actor who's had a lot of success suddenly goes broke. You got to do the things that made you a success to begin with, and keep doing that day by day by day. And I will say, focus your efforts on helping other people as well. I'm a big believer in that. I think if your focus is on yourself and being successful yourself, I don't think a lot of people are interested in that. If your focus is on helping others, then I think that's something that the world needs a lot more of. So, for example, on social media, rather than fussing about how many followers do I have, why don't you take 10 minutes right now, go on Instagram and comment under your 10 best friends' posts and just tell them how much you love them and how much you respect them. Like, why not do that rather than going, oh my God, how many likes do I have, etc., etc., etc. So I think the world would be a better place. I know it would be a better place if we just focused on helping other people to tell their stories, which is what you guys are doing, it's what I'm doing. It's why I love interviewing, because it's not about me. It's about the other person and helping them tell their story, which is a hugely underutilized skill. And I forgot what I was talking about, but I'm finished now.
So I'm just going to look at social media and see if we have any more questions on the live feed. So Jessica Bartley says, where do you want to go for dinner when you come to stay with us in London after Galaxy next year?
I don't know any places. Some place nice. I was in the UK because my fiance was there, and I had a lot of pub food, which a lot of the Brits told me, oh, it's amazing, you got to try the pub food. And I had the pub food and it was swimming in a pile of grease and it was salty. And I'm like, what's wrong with you people? And there were Indian restaurants that were serving Chinese food, Chinese restaurants that were selling fish and chips. And I'm like, what's going on?
We're a confused nation.
Very much
I would never go to a Chinese restaurant and order the fish and chips. I don't know any good restaurants in London. I do know a couple in Wales because that's where my fiance was. So, but I don't know. Jess, you tell me.
She's just put that was a big hint to come and stay in London.
Oh, that was really subtle, Jess. Like subtle as a sledgehammer.
And if you come to London, we want to interview you. We want to interview you in person as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my plan is to come over to the UK next year for Galaxy. That's the plan. I haven't quite worked. I want to make it worth my time. I don't want to just go over there for the pageant and fly back. I think it would be a bit sad, but
it's a long way.
I don't quite know what else to do because I know it's going to be cold there, and I do not like the cold. So I'll have to find something worthwhile to do whilst I'm there.
Yeah.
So to finish up,
we are going to completely turn the tables on you, and we are going to ask you your final 10 questions.
I knew this was coming, and I haven't prepared for it at all.
We're so predictable.
The number of times I've stressed out about this, like, what would I say? And I'm just like, I don't care anymore. Like, I can't think of any good answers.
Good. If you don't know the answer, you can just say you don't know. Yeah. That's what we tell people in pageants, isn't it? If you don't know the answer in the interview, you can just say you don't know and move on. We won't judge you for it.
Oh, people are judging all the time. We can't help it. You just don't have to act on it.
Okay, Emma, fire away. Question number 1.
Do you want me to ask myself the questions?
No, you can't ask yourself the questions.
Have you memorized them? Because when I was interviewing Kelsey, she was amazed that I interviewed them. But can you list off all 10 questions without looking at that?
We've got them in front of us.
I have got them in front of me, but I probably could, to be fair, because I've watched a lot of your interviews.
And by the way, I will answer your question, but question 7 has been changed specifically for pageantry. Because the actual question 7, which I cannot ask, although I would love to, is what's your favourite curse word? And when I first asked her, so I went back to Tasha Ross, when it was my first pageant interview, and I asked her that word, she froze. She wouldn't answer. I was like, why can't you answer it? She just couldn't. So that's actually been changed. But I digress. What's my favourite? Right now,
Would you like to tell us your favourite curse word?
Well, it's not. I can tell you it starts with an F and ends in UCK, and it's not fire truck.
Okay. No, well, hopefully that's not your favourite word, though.
Well,
so, Emma.
I mean, I do like that word only because it's so versatile. I mean, it can be used as an adjective, as a noun. But right now, my favourite word is actually tea, because I'm drinking this Earl Grey tea, and I'm loving the fact that it doesn't have any spiders in it. So if you were to ask me right now, it would be tea.
Tea. Okay. And what is your least favourite word?
Oh, God. People say can't and no, and they say it so often. It's like, yeah, I get it. And I don't like people saying they can't. And I don't like people saying no. It would probably be... What was it? I don't know. Maybe when you're interviewing as much as I have, and especially when you got to go back and edit the interview, and at one point I was going through interviews trying to cut out all the ums. It was a nightmare because I got so good at it that I could tell you what audio waveform actually corresponded to the word So I hate the word and when someone keeps saying it repeatedly and then they combine that with, I actually hate the word sorry as well. Not from I'm apologizing, but when they're apologizing for themselves and say, oh, I'm sorry. And I say, stop apologizing. And they go, oh, I'm sorry. It's those two words combined. They say, stop saying I'm sorry. It's like, oh, don't say sorry. It's like, I'm sorry. And like, oh. So yeah, those two words.
That's a very British thing to do as well.
We apologise for everything.
Yeah, is that an Australian thing to do as well?
No.
If someone runs into you in a supermarket with the trolley and bashes you in the ankles, why is it that you're always the one that says sorry? That's so weird.
Because that's what you guys do. You apologise for yourself. There's also people have different brain farts depending on what country they come from. So Australians say you guys say M. And then the Americans don't actually brain fart as much, although if they do, they're more likely to say like. But Americans are better at taking pauses, not saying anything, and then responding. So.
That's really interesting.
I feel a bit jealous about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've changed this question because we can't really ask you what turns you on, because that means something quite different over here. So
no, okay,
in life, what gets you excited?
Yeah, I used to, and the word is, the question is supposed to be what excites you. The funny thing is, again, culturally, if I ask an Australian that, what turns you on, they get really awkward about it. An American is fine with it and they know how to answer. And the UK the UK people are somewhere in between. Some of them get it and some of them get super awkward about it. But it's supposed to be about what in life, what gets you excited. I love a good conversation, probably over dinner and a glass of wine, or lunch and a glass of champagne near the ocean. I love good conversation. I love stimulating conversation. I don't want to say I love intelligent people. That sounds a bit, I don't know, like a bit elitist. But I love it when I can pitch and catch ideas with someone. And there are a couple of people here that when I do meet up with them and I can give them my ideas and they can throw it back at me, or they can pitch me their ideas. I love that sort of an energy and that sort of a conversation, and having a glass of wine or champagne at the same time is a little bonus as well. That's self-care.
There you
Yes,
go. There's your
exactly.
self-care. Okay, so the opposite of that, what turns you off in life?
I was going to say complaining, but since we're talking about it, I would say people who apologize for themselves all the time. Just people, oh, I'm sorry. Like you mentioned, I could probably run someone over in the UK and they'd say, oh, I'm sorry I got in your way. It's like, well, I don't like it when people lead with apologizing, because it gives a very bad impression. So when someone goes, oh, I'm so sorry for wasting your time, it's like, well, then stop wasting it. Like, obviously you're not sorry because you're doing it anyway. It's not, no problem with people again apologizing, but people feeling like they're kind of like invading your privacy, or that they're a waste of space, that they don't own it, they don't earn it. I really dislike that. I find that a big turn off.
Okay.
Fair enough. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, the coffee machine. Ooh.
Same.
Whether it's the coffee, the machine making a coffee, whether it's a machine grinding the beans, or even if the machine is blowing up, because here in the office the machine seems to blow up quite a lot, just explode. I love all those sounds.
Oh, no. Sounds dramatic.
It is. It's hilarious. I'm here working and you just hear an explosion and people go, ah! It's like, that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
I need to go and work there. That sounds exciting.
It's exciting. It's exciting for me. I think it's terrifying for them.
Always keeps you on your toes. Mm-hmm. So what sound or noise do you hate?
Okay, first off, I want to say that if you are under the age of about 5,000, you are not allowed to say in my interviews anymore, nails down a chalkboard, because at least in Australia, chalkboards don't exist, so you don't know what that sound sounds like anymore. So stop saying nails down a chalkboard. You're allowed to say scratching cutlery on china, because yes, that does still happen. But I'm not going to say nails down a...
No.
I'm not...
And this sound of someone biting their fork?
Did you say biting their foot or biting their fork?
Biting their fork.
Why would someone bite their fork?
When people like drag their teeth across their cutlery, like I can't with that. That's
Is this
hideous.
A pastime in the UK?
Do you know what I mean? When someone takes a bite of it, I find it's usually on the first bite. So they put the fork in their mouth and then like bite down on it and then drag it out. Oh.
Who are you hanging around? Is this a thing? It's like, is this a cultural thing that I'm missing out on? That they...
Please tell me someone watching this understands exactly what I'm talking about. Like when people bite their fork. I don't know. Maybe I just know some really, really
eat your fork. Obviously, your food is not that palatable. I'd be saying, well, get some tastier food so you don't feel like you need to chew on your fork.
Yeah, but maybe I cooked it, so it would make good sense.
Okay, well, now we're getting closer to the truth. If you were to ask me what my... so it was my favourite sound. Have we done... Oh, my least favourite sound.
Your least favourite sound. Yeah.
I hate the sound of gossip. So because I am near the sort of tea making station, so I love hearing the coffee machine. But a lot of the people go there and then they just start talking about stuff. And maybe another answer is I hate sighing. I really hate people who sigh. So there's this person, a woman will come up to the counter and she's coming up to another woman. And the first thing she does, she hobbles over and goes, And I'm like, well, that's a great day. I mean, yeah, we're certainly going to go uphill from there. I hate that. I just don't sigh. And old man noises. Like my best friend, I was making fun of him the other day. I drove him to tennis. And he gets out of the car and it's like, I'm like,
that's just getting beyond 30, I think.
You do not
Everything
need
starts to go
to
wrong.
make that sound. You just don't. It's just a habit. And then sitting down, it's like, I'm like, you didn't just run a marathon. You're sitting down. It's like that's a long way for you, is it? So, but sighing, I detest sighing. It's like the ultimate sound of self-defeat. It's just like, and you know they want to ask you what's wrong, and I just don't want to ask them what's wrong. I just turn it. They sigh, and I run away.
It's never a start of a good conversation.
No, exactly. So I don't start the conversation, which I think it makes them feel really awkward because they sigh, they want human connection, and I just turn away with my cup of coffee. Like, I don't want this. As I told you before, I don't want this conversation. You can sigh, commiserations to yourself, and I'm going to go over here by myself and have a great time.
Fair enough.
Just a little party on my own.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay, so if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's easy. Not necessarily a superpower, but I want to be Iron Man. I want to be Iron Man because he's cool. He's okay. Robert Downey Jr. This is why I have the facial hair that I do, because it's modeled off Iron Man. So it's not really a thing, but also his superpower is his intelligence and his creativity. And I think that's a superpower that everyone can aspire to. And I love the fact also that he's not perfect. I hate perfect superheroes. So I hate Captain America. I hate Superman because they're boring. But I would love to be Iron Man, get in a suit, and fly. That's what I would love to do.
I like that he doesn't hide who he is.
Yep.
I like that he's not trying to hide behind a secret identity. He's like, yeah, I'm Iron Man.
Exactly. Yep. So
that's brilliant.
That's my answer.
Yes.
Okay, so what occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Do I have to be able to do it?
No, just an attempt.
Yeah, just have a good go.
Oh, so there's two things. One would be a singer, and I can't do that, which is why I had to clarify. I can't sing. A singer or an actor, I mean, these days there's no distinction. So an entertainer. The other thing I'd love to do is actually be a public speaker on stage. I would love to do that. So either of those two.
Amazing.
Okay, and what occupation other than your own would you definitely not want to attempt?
Well, I don't know if mother is an occupation, and obviously I can't do that. So being a mother, I think, is the most thankless task. I don't think I could do it. Just having to clean up all the time, getting sick, having no sleep, not getting paid for it. It just, you don't have any conversation. You deal with someone that's crying all the time. I would not ever want to be a mother, but if we're talking about stuff that I actually could try, dentist, like bad breath. You talk about what turns me off. I probably should have said bad breath. Bad breath is heinous. It's the worst thing. And you never know whether to tell someone they have bad breath or just to turn away. But in my experience, every time someone has bad breath, they want to come right up close to you. They're always the people who really want to have a really close-up conversation, and you're just there trying not to vomit in their face. So I would not want to be a dentist.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you know what bad breath is like, and it's just like they get up close and personal, and they're really into their conversation, and all the whole time you're just like, don't gag, don't vomit, don't puke, it'll be bad, and you won't recover from that. So
it's just really awkward, isn't it?
It is.
Wow.
Okay, and final question.
Wow. That's really honest. Okay, so final question then.
Okay. If heaven exists,
I've got a really good answer for this.
What would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'm going to steal an answer. I love the answer, boy, did I have a ball with you.
Amazing. I love that. How about you, Emma? What was your answer to that question? Because I was trying to watch it on the train, it kept cutting out.
I think my answer was
Emma's answer, and by the way, she just said M. Did you hear it? She said M. She didn't say
I heard myself say it and I instantly...
Oh, yeah.
She didn't say she said M. Emma's answer was something very, very thoughtful and proper, not like me. It was, I think it was like, I'm proud of you, or you've done the right thing. I just want to turn up, in a giant fireball and God to say, boy, did I have a blast with you. I mean, that'd just be...
I like it. Good.
Amazing.
That's
Oh,
it's been an eye opener for sure.
yeah.
Once you have your
Not
eyes
vomiting in people's
opened, you will
faces.
never have them closed again.
My favourite.
Oh, well, honestly, thank you so much for waking up early and allowing us to interview you.
Especially when you don't go to bed very early because you don't, do a nice guided sleep meditation.
I think if you ever want to piss me off, then if I'm allowed to say that, get me to do a meditation with you, and
I'm going to send you some links. You're going to love it.
I will punch someone or something, because it's just like,
I'm quite far away, so I'm probably safe.
I am coming to the UK. That gives me
I'm not safe.
an added incentive to come to the UK. Stop sending me these bloody meditations.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take me and my meditations. We'll just go and have a party on our own, like you were going to with your coffee.
Yeah, but my party will be a lot more fun, a lot faster, and probably a lot more unpredictable as well.
Most likely. But no, genuinely, thank you so much for answering our questions and entertaining us with this, and being so. I mean, we've been trying to nail this down for a while now, haven't we? So thank you so much. We are really, really grateful, and
Absolutely.
thank you to everyone who submitted questions. And Anthony knows what I'm talking about with the fork biting thing. I mean, it's just hideous. You need to, I don't know, YouTube it or something. It's just hideous.
If it's hideous,
Horrible.
why would I want to YouTube it?
Why not? Why would you ever want to drink tea again after you found a spider in your cup? Who knows? Life's many questions.
What are the chances of that happening twice?
In Australia, probably more likely.
You put
than
it
in
out
the
there now,
UK.
so I think it's going to happen again. You've put it out there to the universe. The universe is going to send you another coffee spider.
Well, I will take a video of that one and I'll send it to everyone to traumatize them, because every time I put up that video of the spider, I get a lot of reactions.
No.
Yeah.
No.
When I come to the UK, I'm
That's
going to
wicked.
bring a lot of spider practical jokes. I'm already thinking ahead.
You talked about this.
I'm going to
Yeah,
get
that would be my next
a whole, but we'll see how good your meditation is when you're meditating, right? And you've got your eyes closed and you're all hariyam. I'm going to come over silently with a giant spider and put it right in front of you. And then when you wake up, we will see how serene you are.
Probably the same kind of reaction as when I open my eyes to one of my children standing there like, oh!
Well, look, thank you so much for having me. I'll keep you guys on the line
Thank you.
for just a sec, just whilst I end up the stream. But anything else you want to do, or are we good to...
No, I think we're all good.
Okay.
Thank you so much again, and to everyone who's tuned in to watch.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Adrian. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. Make sure to subscribe to get details of our new episodes as they drop, and connect with us on social at the Pageant Project. Speak to you next.